with Bitcoin hitting an all-time high of $69,000, then briefly retracing and attempting to go at it again. The entire blockchain and crypto community is essentially euphoric, and rightfully so, after waiting over 2 years through the bear market. Now, I don't want to rain on this parade. However, I do believe that there are some ongoing lawsuits that could potentially act as a catalyst for a market crash or a black swan event, or on the other hand, be additional fuel to this ever-growing bull market. That said, if it's your first time stopping by, my name is Fareed, aiming to help you break down everything blockchain and crypto. Now, if you've been out of the loop over the course of the last few months, we've seen some pretty big attacks coming against some of the biggest exchanges, including Binance, Coinbase, and most recently, Kraken. These were allegations by the SEC, basically claiming that these exchanges were acting as securities brokers and dealers, exchanging crypto on secondary marketplaces, which basically fit the Howey test or fit the description of a security. Now, I personally believe that that is not the case. However, I do want to go ahead and quickly point out some recent ammunition that has been given over to the SEC's chair, Gary Gensler. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and just jump right on in this particular article, stating a new ruling in SEC's Coinbase insider trading lawsuit comes as a blow to the crypto industry as their judge finds secondary token sales were in fact deemed as securities. So I want to quickly touch on a few additional cases. I'm going to briefly hit on the XRP case, in which we saw Judge Annalisa Torres ruling in favor of the crypto community. We also had an additional case in which we saw Judge Jed Rakoff ruling in favor of the SEC in the Terra Labs case. And then most recently, what I just mentioned there, we have a insider trading scandal taking place at Coinbase, which might be used as ammunition against the crypto community. Now, we have a additional set of lawsuits, which I mentioned earlier, dealing with Coinbase, Binance, and Kraken. And right now, I believe it's just Coinbase who's actually having their hearings right now. And depending on how that goes, if it's in favor of the crypto community, you could definitely bet that the references to Coinbase's case will be utilized in the cases for Binance and Kraken. However, if they are not in favor of the crypto community, you can definitely bet that Gary Gensler will also be utilizing that as ammunition in his additional upcoming cases. So if you haven't heard of the Coinbase insider trading scandal, I'll quickly break this down, but I want to quickly also touch on a few highlights here that I've taken the time to note. But a couple of months back, we saw two brothers and a friend. One brother actually worked directly at Coinbase, and he used his insider information to divulge and give his brother as well as his friend a heads up as to what tokens would be listed on Coinbase. Given that Coinbase is one of the top 3 exchanges in terms of trading volume, they were able to profit over $1 million with this insider information. So they've been taken to court. The insider has actually been given 2 years worth of jail time. His brother has also been punished. However, their unrelated friend has been on the run. So I want to quickly recap what's happened here and the potential impacts and ammunition that this poses to SEC's chair, Gary Gensler. So as the legal debate continues over whether sales of cryptocurrencies constitute securities, all eyes have been on a court case involving a Coinbase employee sharing insider information with his brother and a friend. Now, again, the insider has been given 2 years worth of jail time. His brother's also been punished. However, the friend, who goes by Samir Ramani, still remains at large. Now, on Friday, a federal judge in the Western District Court of Washington issued a ruling in the case against Ramani. Now, because Ramani was not there in person, they had a default judgment. The ruling, which agreed in part with the SEC's request for a default judgment, could have serious implications for both Ramani and the broader crypto industry. Again, because of the fact that the judge in this particular case, Tina Lin, sided with the SEC, stating that these secondary sales were in fact, or should be in fact, be considered as securities, does lend ammunition to Gary Gensler in his upcoming cases with Binance, Coinbase, and Kraken. Now, in the decision, Judge Tina Lin ruled that the case fell under the SEC's jurisdiction because the crypto assets at issue were securities, even though they were traded on Coinbase, a secondary market. Now, I want to take a minute here to highlight some conflicting narratives between different judges and different rulings, and I'll get to that here in just a second. Now, as courts grapple with the question of when crypto assets are securities, the decision is the strongest decision yet by a federal judge to support Chair Gary Gensler's argument that the vast majority of the industry's activity falls under its remit or its guidance. So, as you guys are aware, Gary Gensler wants as much power as he can get. If he can control the entire crypto market, that'll be his end game. Now, we obviously don't want that, right? And we've had additional judges siding with the crypto community, and we're now getting an additional judge siding with Gary Gensler. So I want to quickly go back in time and touch on some of the conflicting rulings, and then I want to turn it over to you for what you think might actually be the outcome of all these different federal cases. So the first is going to be surrounding Judge Annalisa Torres, who is the judge for the Southern District of New York, who appears to be pro-crypto, siding with the crypto community in the XRP case. So jumping into this one here, this was released back in July of 2023, in which we had the ruling where it states, judge rules XRP is not a security in the SEC's case against Ripple. Now, this was somewhat of a big headline. However, the SEC did get a little bit of ammunition here as well, which I want to touch on. So according to documents filed on July 13th, Judge Torres has granted summary judgment in favor of Ripple Labs, ruling that XRP, or the token XRP, is not a security, but only in regards to the pragmatic sales of digital asset or on digital asset exchanges. So any secondary sales taking place on Coinbase, Binance, or Kraken by this particular judge's ruling should not be considered as securities. Now, in addition, it states that, however, the SEC also managed to notch a victory of its own, as the federal judge has ruled that XRP is a security when sold to institutional investors, as is met the conditions set in the Howey test. So just to recap here, secondary sales as per Judge Torres are not securities. However, primary sales directly to institutional investors are considered as securities. This was back in July of 2023. Now, following that, we had an additional case between the SEC and Terraform Labs, which was run by Do Kwon, if you guys remember the Luna crash. So this headline states, U.S. judge sides with the SEC in Terraform Labs case over unregistered securities. I'm just going to read one little snippet here stating, the court granted summary judgment in favor of the SEC, which alleged that Terraform Labs and Do Kwon offered and sold Luna, Terra USD, their stablecoin, and Mirror as unregistered securities. So this directly conflicts with what Judge Torres had initially mentioned, but here they don't necessarily mention secondary sales. Now, if I jump back over into the original article that I was touching on here with the insider case, there are some references to that here. So I'm not going to reread these, but this basically breaks down that different federal judges in various cases have taken different stances. Again, we've seen Judge Torres rule one way, Judge Rakoff rule a certain way, and then Judge Tana Lin also rule in favor, just like Judge Rakoff did with the SEC. So this breaks down exactly some of the sort of uncertainty, the basically cloud that's been covering the crypto ecosystem when it comes to regulations and just making sure that we have a fair set of rules to play by, right? Which up until now we have yet to have. So the matter has grown even more complicated with two high-profile lawsuits brought by the SEC against major crypto exchanges, Coinbase and Binance. Now, in this particular event, both companies have sought to dismiss the cases with their lawyers, arguing that under the Howey securities test, that you must include an actual investment contract, which does not exist when purchasing crypto assets on exchanges. So that appears to be their smoking gun per se, right? Which is the fact that in order for something to be considered as a security, there has to be that contractual agreement, which doesn't actually take place when utilizing a centralized exchange like Coinbase, Binance, or Kraken. Now, jumping back into Tina Lin in the specifics are around the insider trading or the inside trading scandal, it states that the SEC's Coinbase insider trading lawsuit is more complicated because none of the defendants are crypto firms, right? So they're not institutional investors or companies having these primary or direct sales. But then in addition to that, they are accused of insider trading for personal gain, utilizing a secondary market. So this, again, really muddies the water. However, it does give ammunition to Gary Gensler, which of course is not really good, right? Because I could definitely imagine him coming to court with the rest of the SEC crew and basically stating to Judge Fila, who appears to be the judge in the SEC versus Coinbase lawsuit, right? Stating the ruling from this insider trading case as potential evidence or as potential backing to their credibility or to their case against Coinbase. Now, if Coinbase is able to get this kind of dismissed or shoved to the side, then I think that that definitely benefits them. But the ruling that's going to happen with Coinbase, I personally think will sort of set the precedence moving forward. So most recently, we have Coinbase. Let me actually jump back over here, which is now asking for the judge to basically push the recent settlement or the recent verdict with respect to the insider trading. So in Coinbase enforcement action, US SEC tries to capitalize on a little noticed case. If I scroll down here, it says that the US Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, scored a big victory in a small enforcement action last Friday when a federal judge in Seattle granted a default judgment against a no-show defendant accused of trading crypto tokens based on insider information he obtained from a since-fired Coinbase employee. The agency is now hoping to leverage that win in a vastly more consequential case against Coinbase itself. So hopefully you guys can now see the picture coming together, which is why I wanted to put this out there. Again, there's been a lot of people super euphoric over the bull run, which I definitely am as well. But we have to keep in mind that it's catalyst events like these, right, that will catch the entire market off guard at the probably biggest times where there's so much chatter, so much noise, and nobody's expecting it. Now, if the SEC is able to win against Coinbase, again, this leaves a huge blow, but hopefully opens up a way or a path forward for regulatory definement. But in addition to that, we just need to have everybody on the same side. It seems like, at least within the United States, the government is completely against crypto. And what you will notice is that other countries are now opening their arms to some of the companies that used to be here in the US to basically bring them over there and to kind of catch up when it comes to the crypto market. The US has been a leader for quite a bit, but with all of this regulatory hurdles, or all these regulatory hurdles, they're now beginning to sort of stifle the actual technology. So that is unfortunate. However, if Coinbase is able to win, you can definitely bet that Binance and Kraken will be utilizing their judgment in their particular lawsuits as well, right? So it could go either way. Again, potentially causing a market crash or acting as a black swan event, scaring a lot of the market or spooking a lot of the market. Or if Coinbase is able to win, this could only add fuel to the ever-growing bull run, pushing prices for crypto and adoption even higher. So let me know what you guys think down below. While it is a small case, I want to take a minute to bring it to you guys' attention. Hopefully you guys found some value out of it. But that's going to be it here for today's video. As always, if you do appreciate content like this, I would appreciate you if you could smash that thumbs up. If it's your first time stopping by and you want more content like this, breaking down everything going on in Cardano and just in crypto, consider subscribing. And last but not least, if you have any questions for me, then as always, make sure to go ahead and leave a comment down below. That said, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.